That night, the wind carried back a memory I tried to bury. A forgotten music box started playing on its own, and with it came Aria in The Ghost of a Boy We Lost. Some secrets don't stay silent. They wait for the storm to return. Some memories don't die. They wait in the eaves of a place until wind shakes them loose. I thought I'd left mine behind the summer Elliot vanished. The summer Aria Collins learned to look straight at bad news and not blink. My name is Liam Hayes, 23, carpenter by trade, decent at fixing roofs that sag and lousy at fixing the parts of myself that do. The night this begins, a storm crawled up the Ohio like it owned the map. The wind flipped the river in weird directions, the power stuttered, and my mother's garage, my workshop by inheritance, smelled like cut pine and wet dust when Aria walked in with rain glittering on her lashes. We hadn't been in the same room since the night on the ridge 2 years ago when everything tilted. She said my name once, Liam, and set a small brass wind-up music box on my bench. It was dented on one corner, mine once, a gift from my dad the summer Elliot and I swore we'd catch a freight and never look back. I'd lost it the week Elliot disappeared. By lost it, I mean I threw it at a wall because grief likes targets. Aria said she'd found it under her mom's bed in a carton of summer things. She wound it. It didn't play the lullaby it was built for. It coughed out 3 crooked notes that matched the whistle Elliot invented, so we could find each other across the river. 2 short, 1 long. The radio on my shelf, dead for months, wheezed to life and muttered East Bridge closed, then died again like a bad joke. We looked at each other with the stupid relief you feel when the world starts acting like a story, because stories pretend there's a trail if you keep your eyes open. If you're hoping for clean mystery, you've never lived in a Midwest river town after a flood warning. News travels faster than cars and slower than shame. When Elliot vanished that July, the diner rehearsed theories over eggs. He hopped a freight, he drowned on a dare, he followed some girl, he followed a ghost. None of them knew about the argument on the ridge, or the way I told him not tonight, like I was saying yes to a smaller life. Only Aria knew. That night, the storm pushed us to the high school gym, now an emergency shelter, cots in rows, a piano that wouldn't survive another relocation, thermoses lined like soldiers. I hauled boxes. Aria checked names. Every time the doors opened, the wind brought somebody's history, wet cedar, laundry soap, quilts that had seen too much. Elliot used to stand in rooms like that and declare a game, clap once, charm the seriousness out of air. I loved him for that talent. I also resented the part of him that thought the world should rearrange when he pointed. Morning shrugged the storm north. Outside, the clouds forgot their lines and drifted apart like awkward cousins. Aria stood next to me, the music box in her palm. "It did it again," she said. I told her about that whistle we used the summer we couldn't afford phones. She said, "Then he's calling," and I said the ugliest true thing, or we're haunting ourselves. She shook her head like you do at a friend who's become boring. Your father hid things in plain sight. Elliot learned from him. Where would he leave a message that could outlast rain and our dumbest selves? I looked past the school to the old textile mill, the tallest thing in 3 counties, all brick and regret. Up, I said, and we went. The mill is a museum no one curates. Stairs that speak rust, windows that hold the river like an old photograph, rooms where dust learns to breathe. On the 3rd floor, in an office Elliot once named our embassy, we found his mark, a star carved into the inside of a window frame next to L+A+E. Beneath it, a notch just wide enough for a brass key. The music box key fit like it had always belonged there. I turned it. The latch popped, a curled scrap fell to the floor. Elliot's handwriting was still the same. Reckless loops, corrected misspellings, speed you could hear. If you're reading this, good. It means I got away or you did or both. This is not a map. This is a receipt. We bought a future. I'm making the down payment. Aria, don't roll your eyes. Liam, don't fix this into silence. Go to the East Bridge at low water. Follow the wind. He'd sketched the bridge and marked an X under the second span where fishermen stash beer. I wanted to be mad about the scavenger hunt vibe, but my anger was tired. At the bridge, the river pretended calm, brown glass you don't trust. We slid down to the span, got wet up to the ankles in old river stink, and pried a small tin wrapped in plastic from a bent slat. Inside, a Polaroid of the 3 of us on the ridge the night before he left. Elliot with an arm around each of us, me mid-protest, Aria's eyes saying, "Please be smarter than your hearts." On the back, 2 lines. "If I'm gone, it's because I left, not because the river took me." Ask June. June runs Willow Street Bakery, a woman who can frost an apology into something you can swallow. She watched us grow from skinned knees to stubborn opinions. When we walked in with the Polaroid, she didn't pretend to misunderstand. She locked the door, flipped the sign, poured coffee strong enough to confess. "He made me wait 2 years, she said. "Thought you'd hate him less by then." "Are we there?" I said no. Aria said maybe. June said close enough and slid us an envelope. Bus receipts, postmarks, a greasy diner ticket with a doodled star, notes in Elliot's wrong tilted handwriting. The short version: he got in too deep with a man named Coulter, who sold bad pills to kids with good hearts and liked to collect debts in public. Elliot tried to be collateral with a grin until the math turned ugly. He asked June for small bills and the kind of words a place gives a son it refuses to lose. The postmarks marched across the Midwest like weather. Many came from towns with wind farms. Follow the wind wasn't poetry, it was directions. I laughed the kind of laugh that scares gentle people. June let me. Aria squeezed my hand under the table like stabilizing a stack of plates. "So we go," she said. "We can't just..." I started. "We can," she said. "We pretend we're 18 again." Something in my chest unrusted. We took my mother's grumpy Honda and a thermos and learned the interstate by heart. In a town with 1 traffic light and 2 Baptist churches, a mechanic remembered a kid who paid cash and refused tips, fixed flats for single moms. In another, a librarian with the patient smile of someone who keeps secrets slipped a paperback across the counter. Inside the flyleaf, a doodled star and 4 words, "Tell Elle I didn't drown." Wind turbines rose from cornfields like white prayers. Nights we split fries in diners where the coffee tasted like penance and fought about whether bravery and stupidity share a border. They do. Somewhere after too many counties with the same water tower, we found Elliot without finding him. A mural at a youth center, painted by teens, sky full of pinwheels, a boy with a star on his wrist at the front, a plaque read "Wind Remembers Us," donated anonymously. Aria touched the wall like checking for a pulse. I had 100 sentences jammed in my throat and chose one. He left to save somebody and maybe saved himself. Saying it out loud made room for a grief that wasn't a sinkhole. After that, it wasn't romantic. It was work. We called shelters, left messages for counselors, slept once in the Honda near a field of turbines blinking red like the heartbeats of giants. Aria read me lines from Elliot's old notebook, terrible poems, smart logistics. I apologized for the places I'd chosen fear. She said, "I know," in a tone that sounded like weather clearing. Near the state line, a storm hit so hard the wipers gave up. When it passed, the world felt rinsed. Aria wound the music box. The 3 notes stuttered into a 4th, like a door finally unsticking. "Maybe the songs don't end," she said. "Maybe they change keys." "Maybe we do too," I said. We found him in a flat town where the sky had nowhere to hide. A workshop taught kids to build kites. Elliot came out carrying a bundle of dowels and paper. His hair was shorter, eyes older, smile careful and honest. He didn't run or pose. He said my name and Aria's and sorry. We sat on the curb because apparently that's where our stories adjust their spine. He filled the gaps. Coulter had hooked a kid named Dawson and liked to make examples. Elliot stepped between. Swagger only carries you so far. He ran when own left Coulter's mouth. He carved stars like breadcrumbs. He sent letters he never mailed. He learned you can love a town and leave it, and sometimes the only way to come back is as someone new. I wanted to ask why he didn't trust us with his worst day. He said, "Because I didn't trust myself with yours." I wanted to swing on him and hug him. The hug won. We drove home with 3 versions of each of us rattling in the car. The turbines in the rear view looked like punctuation marks ending a sentence we'd been inside for years. Back home, Coulter still dealt ugliness out of a tan SUV. The sheriff knew. Everyone knew. Knowing is cheap. This could be the part with sirens and gunmetal words, but Elliot said no more sirens. Aria said we do this boring and relentless. So we collected receipts. June produced a ledger like a guillotine. The librarian made the kind of call that says, "I've been saving this favor for a day like today." The mechanic, who was tired of burying fast boys, wrote a statement. Dawson turned 19 and wanted his anger to do something useful. We called a meeting in the gym that had hosted our storm cots. The piano survived. Coulter swaggered. The sheriff postured like re-election depended on posture, which it maybe did. I said one sentence into a microphone that squealed, "We are done paying for your weather." Not poetry, but it worked. The ledger went viral in a county that doesn't usually use that word. 2 weeks later, the tan SUV was gone. The diner had one less rumor to butter its toast with. You came for romance, I know. We didn't fix grief with a movie kiss under fireworks. Aria and I found each other like people who respect hinges. Slow, careful, grateful. Some nights she shows up at my shop with rain on her lashes, a camera strap broken, a shelf that needs leveling, the 2 a.m. loudness that needs company. I hand her a screwdriver or a sentence, whichever fits the screw. Some mornings the wind presses its palm to my windows and I make coffee and text Elliot, "Don't be a ghost today." He sends back a photo of a kite flexing against the sky like a bright apology. We built a bench on the ridge where we once tried to pick a whole life in one conversation. We carved L plus A plus E and a small star. Under it, Aria added in tiny letters, "When the wind remembers," because it does. The music box sits on my workbench, still dented, stubborn. In late afternoon light, the kind that falls in the shape of forgiveness, I wind it. 4 notes, a breath, 4 notes. If you ask what we buried, I'll say not Elliot, not the past, not the fight on the ridge. We buried the lie that love means you either stay or you run. We planted this instead. Love means building a place where coming back isn't an apology but a plan. Sometimes the storm returns. When it does, we'll sandbag and call roll and lock June's front door and boil the strongest coffee and tune the poor piano and draw stars on our wrists and listen. The wind will bring somebody's name. We won't flinch. We'll open the window.